right, Gamecock fans, we are back again. Rooster, back with you. What are we talking about today? We're going to talk about Wipe It Wednesday. That's where we are today, y'all. We're going to wipe it away. The whole last Saturday, the disaster, nightmare, whatever you want to call, whatever that was. But we've had an entertaining week, right? Dabo going off yesterday on the fans of Clemson. If you don't want to win, I can leave. We've heard this rodeo before out of Dabo. He was leaving many times. The fans didn't like him. Tyler from Spartanburg. He was leaving after players started getting paid. He ain't going nowhere yet, have you, Dabo? You still hanging in there with your sliding board coming out of the office? But all jokes aside, Beamer was chippy yesterday. Dabo was chippy yesterday. I don't know. Was there something in the air around the state of South Carolina yesterday that just gave everybody a little bit of attitude? Anyway, how South Carolina's lost to Vanderbilt. Clemson loses to Georgia Tech. Two teams that have really not done well in their conferences, right? Georgia Tech, we saw them come on last year, have some good wins. We actually saw Vanderbilt and Georgia Tech playing a bowl game last year. Vanderbilt came out on top. Pretty good bowl game at the end of the day, though. Let's just put it this way. Clemson has a lot easier upcoming schedule to kind of right their ship with, right? They go out this week and play Boston College, who was awful last week, lost to an awful Stanford team. And I didn't really watch the game, and I can't tell you if Stanford changed quarterbacks from the Hawaii game, but Stanford was awful in the Hawaii game. That's a fact, Jack. So I think Clemson has a chance to right their ship. South Carolina, tougher road to hoe. Missouri, Kentucky's gotten better. They switched quarterbacks. Got Boley there that seemed to kind of help motivate that team a little bit, spark it. Sometimes that's what it takes, right? Just one little thing where someone's not making the mistakes that the other guy was making, and it sparks your team and you get a little better. Before South Carolina really gets into LSU. But one thing I want to talk about, let's get past all the chippiness and BS. I've been on X with some Clemson fans, and it's kind of weird that South Carolina fans and Clemson fans are kind of getting along right now. That normally don't happen too often. But both teams, if you look at them, are kind of having the same struggles: offensive line, ability to run the football, just not being able to get a whole lot of offense going. And some struggles on defense, tackling and stuff. So, for probably the first time in a long time, you look at both these teams, were they overhyped coming into the season? A lot of people say that now. Clemson's 1-2, South Carolina's 2-1, but a bad loss to Vandy. Clemson lost by a field goal to Georgia Tech, but that's their second loss on the season after the LSU game. So how does South Carolina move forward? Right now, we really don't care what Clemson does, but I just kind of had to look at their schedule and see what they had upcoming and if they were going to right this ship and have the ability to do it. But they do. They have plenty of opportunity to teams that they have on their schedule the next couple of weeks. You wouldn't consider dangerous teams. South Carolina, opposite problem. Outside of Kentucky, and hell, if we mess around and play like we played at home last Saturday, Kentucky can beat us. Mark Stoops has done it before. But we're going to wipe it away on Wednesday. And we're going to go back and we're going to put faith in Shane Beamer. We've seen Shane Beamer step up in these situations. Back against the wall, not playing well, kind of pulls everybody together. Sometimes having the fan base and a lot of things happen cause a team to come together and come out stronger, right? So maybe sometimes getting some criticism about yourself makes you put your ego in check. And I think that's got to happen for this football team. It's got to happen for the coaches. It's got to happen for the football team, the players, and everybody. You got to leave your ego at the door sometimes. And you just got to go back. You got to rip it all down and get back to the dirt road, right? We're tearing the asphalt and concrete up, and we're getting back to the dirt road. And I think that's where South Carolina needs to be. We talked about it in the video last week that I wanted to see South Carolina go out and play some backyard ball and just kind of throw it around and play loose. Well, Vandy showed up and did that to us. I don't. It's kind of hard for me to say this, but sometimes South Carolina comes across as a suit and tie and a briefcase football team. I think we need to get back to the dry roots of toting a sledgehammer and breaking concrete or whatever we need to do, and get past this mentality almost of, well, we just got to show up business-like. No, we got to show up loose. We got to show up strong. We got to be ready to go. And I think that was just a bad football game all the way around. And sometimes, we've gone through bad things, and sometimes we put ourselves through bad things to make us realize, hey, man, we got to make some changes. So hopefully that's what happens. And Beamer gets a Beamer game. I call these Beamer games. These are the games where the team just kind of comes together. He comes together. Maybe his chippiness. Maybe he had some issues with some coaching. Maybe I had to chew some ass, because every once in a while you do have to choose ass. I get Beamer defending his guys. Here's the thing. As a manager, and I've hired people, had a lot of great people work for me through time. We all know you got the guys you got to pat on the back. You get the guys you got to kick in the ass to get them to go to work. And it's a fine line on how you walk that, because if you kick the wrong guy in the ass, he folds up on you, right? He doesn't do his job. He gets nervous. He gets tense. The job's not just flowing, and he's not getting his work done. And then the opposite of that is a guy that you need to kick in the ass. If you just pat him on the back or whatever, hell, he just continues doing the same thing. Last week we talked about the O-line, and it came to fruition on Saturday. Communication, right? It almost seemed last week when we talked about Casey Henry and Bo Stanley that there was just something wasn't clicking on that O-line, because even in their press conferences, just some things didn't click, and it didn't give everybody a good, smooth feeling going into the weekend, and it showed up, right? And I get it. Everybody say, well, Lanorris got hurt. We went through this rodeo last year at LSU when he got hurt. We ended up losing the football game, and those are all facts. There are a lot of people going around beating up Luke Doty. I have nothing against Luke Doty personally whatsoever. Love Luke Doty to death. Luke Doty is not the quarterback. Could he win you a game? Yes. On the road at Missouri against a very talented football team, big ask. We're asking a guy that hasn't played quarterback in, 4 years now? 3 years? I guess 4. And it really didn't get to play a lot before that. A few games here or there. That's a big ask for a guy like that. And like myself and a lot of other fans, we talk about, well, where's the backups? Why have they not been developed enough to be better? Is the scheme too complicated for a young guy? I mean, the reason I asked that is I can't even pronounce the kid's name, but the guy that Ole Miss walks out of quarterback last week, he goes out there, he just takes care of business. Looks like they never missed a step. Might have stepped up a little bit with their backup quarterback, and we can't even get ours on the field except to hand the football off. You know what I'm saying? It's just one of those situations. How do we not know that Aaron Nolan or Curtis Woods is not just a gamer, right? Maybe they're not picking up everything in practice. Maybe you need to simplify it for them. You cut your plays back. You simplify. You give them good, easy reads. You give them good, easy passes. You let them use their athleticism to get you out of trouble. Sometimes I just think we overthink these things and overcomplicate it. And that's a tendency of an NFL. And like I told people, here's how I'm going to go down this pattern. We all know Mike Shula's been all through the NFL, right? After getting adiosed by Alabama. He's been through the NFL, quarterback coach, a little bit of offensive coordinator, this type stuff. Well, his last, before coming to South Carolina, is at Buffalo. And that's why I try to tell people, it's almost like they're trying to make South Carolina's offense look like the Buffalo Bills. Well, if you think about the Buffalo Bills, Joe Brady, 2019 LSU. Even though you had Enfinger in there too, you had the dual offensive coordinator thing going on at LSU. We don't have the weapons at South Carolina, at least not yet. I'm not saying that these kids can't go out there and be that. But they're not that 2019 LSU team where you can kind of run that style of offense, pocket passer. You got Joe Burrow in there, and you got guys like Jefferson and the wide receivers, and then they had all the running backs. That was a loaded football team and a ton of NFL talent on defense also. that LSU team is one of the greatest teams, I think, in college football history. South Carolina doesn't have that right now to try to do. That was a pro-style offense. And it almost looks like we're trying to take a page out of the Joe Brady book and put that in at South Carolina. I remember when Joe Brady left LSU, a lot of people wanted him to come to South Carolina. Well, the guy went on to the NFL, and he look at the Bills. Hell, they're kicking ass and taking names. But now it looks like we're trying to implement that. Well, if you wasn't a creative of it, it's really hard to try to redo it, right? And South Carolina's just not an NFL team. We don't have NFL players. Eventually, maybe on this offensive line, some of these guys will make the NFL. You look through our running back roster. Yeah, maybe a couple of guys get invited to some camps or stuff, but would you look at our running back roster and tell you that anybody's getting drafted out of our running back room? They're all good. But I don't think any of them you'd look at and say, well, they're one of the top 5 running backs in the country and they'll get drafted. And because running backs is hard to get drafted going into the NFL. Tight ends, you had Josh Simon last year. These guys, I can't tell whether our tight ends, there's someone like a Josh Simon because we really haven't used them enough to say that. Michael Smith, we saw him last year, is a very athletic dude, and I think he's got to be a big part in this Missouri game. Very athletic guy. You get him out in space, he can make people miss. It's going to be very important to get these guys involved. Nick Harbor, of course, has stepped it up, even after all the skepticism. Everybody's saying, he needs to go back to defensive end. He shouldn't be a wide receiver. He's the leading wide receiver on South Carolina's team right now, and he's catching anywhere from deep balls, intermediate balls. Yeah, he's had some drops, but hell, I sit here on a Saturday and watch 12 games, and I watch guys that have been playing wide receiver all their life drop footballs. I watch games on Sunday. NFL wide receivers were dropping footballs. It's going to happen. And a big talk is self-inflicted wounds. You can't go out to Missouri and keep shooting yourself in the foot on first downs and getting negative plays and having penalties, just mental breakdowns like that. And how do you solve that as a coach? That's a tough one, man. You just got to get your guys to concentrate. I don't know if you do concentration drills with them and that kind of stuff and just try to get their mind right. I don't know, send them into I don't know, whatever you got to send them into that they can get focused, drown out the noise, and play good assignment football. Whatever your job is, do your job. And do your job to the best of your ability. That's all South Carolina fans will ask. Everybody thinks that South Carolina fans are just like all of a sudden we're jumping on this coaching staff. And look, it's frustrating, man. South Carolina fans want to score points. We sit out here on a Saturday and we watch these brand new quarterbacks come in like Joey Aguilar and John Mateer. And I get Mateer's been playing for a while. He has some experience. But you see him come into these, I won't say John Mateer into a new system because Arbuckle, of course, brought their system from Washington. But you're seeing a lot of these quarterbacks that moved in from other places, even lower level, come in and be successful in a system. And you think, well, Lanorris is in year 3 at South Carolina. That was 2 years under logins, a year now going into a year with Shula. According to Beamer, we're running a lot of the same plays, maybe changing some routes or something, what Shula said today. But it's not working. It's not being successful. And we scratch our head, why not? The kid has all the experience in the world. Is it all on Shula? Is there something Sellers got in his head with all this NFL draft stuff? You put a little bit of fear in your head if you're looking at a career in the NFL and you think, man, I don't want to get hit or hurt. I don't know that. I don't know Sellers personally. I don't know what his mindset would be, but there's just something we feel is not jiving right that we'll have to come together. Now, all reports are Sellers was at practice today. I'm guessing going through. They're going to keep going through the protocol with him. Even though Beamer won't say it, we'll find out tonight. I think all of us realize it was a hit to the head. Probably had to go through concussion protocol. They're not letting him out there practice if he still got double vision from a concussion or having headaches. I can promise you that. So you're going to have more than likely Sellers back. Now you got to get out and do something with your team at full strength. I know we're still missing Judge Collier on defense, and you can tell we're missing him pretty bad. But I did think we had enough talent to come up behind him in that secondary and perform much better than we have. And you're going to need to. You start looking at right now, Bo Perbula, I hope I said that right, 791 yards passing. Hardy, the running backs, 462. Kevin Coleman, wide receiver, at 258. They have some talent on this team. I mean, Jamal Roberts, who was their leading rusher in the first game of the year, he's a good backup. He's at 222 on the year. So they can run the football. And we know that. They use that wide zone that I beg South Carolina to use running the football because it seems like it works for us. And it kind of spreads that defense out. And they're not so focused on clogging up the middle. And they will throw it. And they have some good wide receivers. So we got to get our head around. We're going to have to make plays. If we want to stay in this football game, we're going to have to make this thing ugly. Or we're going to be in a shootout, and we're really going to see what Sellers can do. You're going to have to cut him loose. You're going to have to let him be a gunslinger. You're going to have to let him run. People talk about Sellers not running. How many is designed? How many is he scramble around and run? When you design run him up the middle, we saw it last year against LSU when he broke that big long run. We've seen him, kind of pull down, make some runs to win the game against Clemson. Last year we were in a dogfight with LSU, with Missouri. I can't even get my mind right now. But we were in a dogfight with Missouri, and we had to open it up. We had to go, right? You got to throw. You got to come back. We had Rocket Sanders with that run where he ran over about 10 people to get to the end zone to win the football game. But it was a back and forth. It was a heavyweight fight. And if South Carolina plans on going out to Columbia, Missouri, and coming home with a win, they got to be prepared to fight again. You're going to have to get some tough skin. You're going to have to callous up. You're not going to be able to go out there and just think, oh, well, we can continue to do the same old thing we've done all year. That's not going to work. So you got to go get ready for battle. Put on your battle gear, whatever you got to do, get ready for a fight because you're going to have to fight with Missouri. Now, I know the line, and I haven't checked it. Let's check this line real quick because it was weird. It was 13.5, and, of course, I'm in Florida, so y'all excuse my lines down here. But yesterday I went to go on Hard Rock bets down here in Florida, and the line was down to 10.5, where it was at one time 13.5. So let's go see if this has kind of changed around. See if there's, with the information of Lanorris coming out, let's see what DraftKings had. That's who I typically go to see what maybe the rest of the country's getting versus Hard Rock's always a little different than what you get from a lot of these other lines and stuff. So let's kind of see where has this line moved since people are starting to think that Sellers is going to play this week. It was Pete Thamel, I think, was the first one to kind of come out with it, but some guys had some ideas, and we talked about it yesterday on the video when Doty made the comment about everyone taking the same amount of snaps they were taking. It was kind of a hint to me, and I said Sellers is going to play because you would have to take more snaps if you're going to be the starting quarterback. And of course, my internet wants to run slow right now. All right, so let's kind of look at this line. We'll look at some other SEC lines real quick, too, but I don't want to make my picks yet. That'll be tomorrow. I'll start looking at the SEC stuff. Let's see. Arkansas, Memphis getting 7. I might have to think about that. I like Memphis. Memphis is my pick for the group of 5, group of 6, whatever you call them. South Carolina, Missouri on DraftKings is down to 10. And it was 13.5. So with the information the Sellers coming out, this line dropped. And I think it dropped yesterday because I wanted to go in there. I actually bet South Carolina money line. Y'all can call me crazy as hell. I do think this is a Beamer game. I think South Carolina can go out there and beat them, just outright beat them. Odds on the money line is plus 285. I ain't going to sit here and tell you I dropped $100 for South Carolina to win outright, but I put a couple bucks on South Carolina to win that football Football game outright. I am not messing with the over/under, even though I think this is definitely probably going to be an over game. Probably the best bet there to go to over. If you're going to do it. But we see that line dropping, which is a sign that Lanorris is definitely going to be playing Saturday, or at least that's how I take it, because Vegas ain't going to play with that. If you want the information, they're the ones that's going to tell you. But anyway, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Agree or disagree, this is Wednesday. We wipe it away. We start focusing on Missouri. We get ready for that game on Saturday. Anything else that comes up, of course, we're going to make videos and we're going to talk about it. And you guys have done such a tremendous job in the comment section, and we've had some great conversations. You guys have really put some hard work into giving your ideas and your opinions and stuff, and no opinion gets shut down here. You may disagree with what I say, you may disagree with what some other people say in the comment section, but it's been tremendous. It helps the channel grow, helps me grow, and I enjoy the conversation myself. Like I said, I'm down here in Florida, man. I don't get Gamecock talk. Nobody down here is talking about South Carolina Gamecocks, because we ain't played Florida in going on 2 years now. So that's not really a conversation. And believe it or not, the Florida people that are down here don't really talk that much about the Gamecocks, period, man. They got their own issues to worry about. And when they do talk Florida football, it's more about Miami and Florida State, of course, all the hated rivals. But anyway, all y'all have a beautiful rest of your Wipe It Wednesday. Don't forget, we come back with new energy this week. It's time to play some Beamer ball and have a Beamer game. And we'll talk some SEC stuff. Come back tomorrow. I'll have video out. I want to go through some lines. We'll go through some prop bets for South Carolina. I don't know if you guys enjoy those videos or not. Y'all like to see me get round up and raged up and going off on stuff, but we're not going to get more information the rest of the week. So it's going to... Nobody can put no bullets in my gun for me to get wound up about. Anyway, enjoy all you guys. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday.